Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about a subject that often comes with a sense of shame, anger, or even self-doubt handling disrespect. We've all been there. Someone's words or actions leave us feeling diminished, unseen, or hurt. But learning to handle disrespect isn't just about keeping cool or moving on. It's about understanding what's happening inside of us and deciding how we want to respond rather than just reacting. So here are 10 powerful lessons on how to handle disrespect without losing yourself. They may seem simple, but they're hard to put into practice because they require courage, compassion, and the ability to be vulnerable. But when you do, you'll start to see that respecting yourself can help shift your experience, regardless of how others behave. Absolutely, here's a deeper dive into the concept of staying calm and grounded when faced with disrespect. Lesson 1, stay calm and grounded. Staying calm and grounded in moments of disrespect isn't always easy, and that's because our natural response to disrespect is often fueled by a rush of emotion. Disrespect can trigger feelings of hurt, anger, frustration, or even a deep sense of shame. This reaction stems from our basic instincts. It's human nature to want to defend ourselves, to lash out, or to withdraw. But here's the truth: in most cases, reacting impulsively doesn't serve us in the way we might hope it will. Instead, it can lead to regrettable actions, misunderstandings, and even reinforce the power of the person being disrespectful. Learning to stay calm and grounded doesn't mean ignoring what's happening or pushing down your feelings. It means creating a momentary pause of space between the stimulus and your response. This pause is a powerful tool because it allows you to step back and gain control over your reaction. Think of it as taking a mental step away from the situation rather than jumping straight into the emotional turbulence. In that pause, you can take a deep breath. A single breath might sound insignificant, but it's actually one of the most effective ways to regain your composure. Breathing helps activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which counteracts the stress response and begins to calm you down physically. This physical response is key because when your body is calm, your mind becomes clearer, and when your mind is clear, you can make better decisions. Staying grounded also means finding a way to connect with your own inner sense of stability, something that doesn't waver based on external events. Picture yourself as a tree with deep roots. No matter how fierce the storm, the roots keep the tree grounded. Similarly, being grounded allows you to withstand difficult moments without being completely uprooted or thrown off balance. Find something that anchors you, your values, your sense of self-worth, or even just the reminder that this moment of disrespect doesn't define you. This groundedness keeps you centered and resilient. When you're calm and grounded, you're not reacting to someone else's behavior, but instead choosing how to respond in a way that aligns with who you are. You can think more clearly about what you want to do next. Maybe it's speaking up assertively, setting a boundary, or simply walking away. The choice becomes yours rather than something dictated by the intensity of the moment. By practicing calm and groundedness, you send a message to yourself and to others that you're in control of your own peace. Staying grounded is a powerful act of self-respect. It's about saying, I choose how I respond, and I won't let someone else's behavior dictate my inner world. Finally, staying calm and grounded takes practice. In high stakes or high emotion situations, it can feel like you're going against the grain. But the more you practice pausing, breathing, and finding your center, the stronger you'll get at handling disrespect with resilience and dignity. Over time, staying calm becomes second nature, a natural part of how you protect your peace. Lesson 2. Remember, it's often not about you. When we experience disrespect, it's natural to take it personally. Our minds start to race, did I do something wrong? Why would they say that? Why would they act that way toward me? These thoughts can spiral into self-doubt or even self-blame, leaving us feeling hurt and diminished. But here's a powerful truth: to hold on to disrespect often has very little to do with you and far more to do with the other person. This realization can shift how you perceive these encounters and protect your sense of self. Disrespectful behavior is frequently a reflection of what's going on in someone else's inner world. Think about it. When people lash out, dismiss others, or act rudely, they are often wrestling with their own struggles, insecurities, or frustrations. They might be dealing with stress, feeling unappreciated, or even struggling with feelings of inadequacy. Instead of addressing these internal struggles directly, some people deflect by projecting negativity outward. In other words, they're trying to manage their inner chaos by controlling, criticizing, or disrespecting others. This concept isn't about excusing or justifying disrespect. It's about understanding that people often act from a place of pain or fear. For example, someone who's harshly critical of you may actually be reflecting their own self-criticism. They might feel inadequate and try to lift themselves up by putting others down. Or maybe they feel threatened by something in you, your confidence, your accomplishments, or even your kindness. Their response to their own insecurities might be to minimize, mock, or dismiss what they see in you. Recognizing that this is their issue, not yours, can help you avoid internalizing their words or actions. Imagine disrespect as a form of negativity bouncing around that's looking for a place to land. If you take it personally, you give it a place to stay, and it starts impacting your self-esteem and self-worth. But when you realize it's not about you, you can let it bounce off. You don't have to absorb it or let it shake you. This understanding can also help you respond more thoughtfully. When you recognize that someone's disrespect might stem from their own pain or lesson 3, set boundaries with compassion. Setting boundaries is essential for self-respect and healthy relationships, but many of us hesitate to do it because we worry it will come across as harsh or uncaring. We might fear it will push others away, create tension, or make us seem difficult. However, setting boundaries doesn't have to be a forceful or antagonistic act. In fact, when done with compassion, boundaries can actually strengthen relationships by building mutual respect, trust, and clarity. Boundaries are simply guidelines that define what behavior is and isn't acceptable in our interactions. They are a way of saying, this is how I deserve to be treated, and they communicate to others that we value ourselves and our well-being. Far from being selfish, boundaries are one of the most compassionate things we can offer both to ourselves and to others. They create a clear understanding of what's okay and what's not, which helps prevent misunderstandings, resentment, and unnecessary conflicts. The first step in setting compassionate boundaries is understanding why they're necessary. Ask yourself what behavior, words, or actions make you feel uncomfortable, unappreciated, or disrespected. This reflection helps you clarify what truly matters to you, which is essential because boundaries based on self-knowledge are strong and sustainable. For example, you might decide that you don't want to engage in conversations where people raise their voices, or that you won't tolerate repeated interruptions when you're speaking. When you're clear on these boundaries, it's easier to communicate them calmly and confidently. Next, approach boundary setting from a place of empathy. Imagine the best in the person on the other side of the boundary and acknowledge that they may not even realize they've crossed a line. People aren't mind readers, and often they're unaware of how their behavior affects others. Expressing a boundary doesn't mean condemning or accusing. It's about letting them know what you need to feel respected and comfortable. For instance, if a friend tends to unload their problems on you without asking if you less than 4 stay true to your values. Staying true to your values is one of the most powerful ways to handle disrespect, but it requires a deep understanding of what you believe in and a commitment to those beliefs, even in challenging situations. When we're confronted with disrespect, there's often an impulse to mirror the behavior back, to give as good as we get, or to let anger and frustration take over. While these reactions are natural, they can often lead us to act in ways that aren't in line with who we really are. That's why staying true to your values is so essential. It keeps you centered, focused, and able to respond in a way that reflects your best self. Values are the core principles that guide our actions, thoughts, and decisions. They're the qualities we admire, the standards we hold ourselves to, and the compass points that keep us grounded in times of challenge. For some, values might include respect, kindness, honesty, or integrity. For others, they might center around courage, patience, and empathy. Knowing your values is key, as it gives you a strong foundation to rely on, particularly when disrespect threatens to pull you off course. Imagine your values as the backbone of your character. They're what make you uniquely you. When someone disrespects you, it can feel like they're challenging those values, even if it's just indirectly. For instance, if you value kindness and someone speaks to you harshly, your immediate reaction might be to respond in the same tone. But if you stay grounded in your value of kindness, you'll choose to respond differently, not by lowering yourself to their level, but by maintaining your composure, dignity, and empathy. This doesn't mean tolerating poor treatment. It means showing that you won't let someone else's behavior determine your own. Staying true to your values also gives you a clear way to assess your response. After a challenging encounter, you can look back and ask yourself, did I act in line with my values? If the answer is yes, it's likely that you'll feel a sense of integrity, even if the interaction was difficult. There's a quiet strength in knowing that you upheld your principles, that you didn't allow disrespect to push you off balance or make you question who you are. This integrity builds resilience and confidence, and it reinforces that no one else has the power to compromise your sense of self. Additionally, when you act in alignment with your values, you may positively influence others. Responding to disrespect with respect or to harshness with calm can sometimes shift the dynamic and make the other person pause. People often mirror the behavior they see, and by modeling respect, you may inspire them to do the same. But even if it doesn't lead to a change in their behavior, staying true to your values ensures that you walk away from the situation with self-respect intact. To stay true to your values, it's essential to remind yourself of them regularly. Consider writing down the values you want to embody in your interactions and relationships. Keep this list somewhere visible, a phone note, a journal, or even a sticky note on your desk. This way, when you're faced with challenging situations, you have a ready reminder of who you are and what you stand for. Over time, these values will become second nature, something you return to instinctively, even when disrespectful behavior threatens to shake you. Remember, values are like an internal compass. They guide you in moments when external circumstances feel overwhelming or chaotic. By staying true to them, you're not only handling disrespect with grace, but you're also reinforcing your sense of self-worth and integrity. You're telling yourself and the world that nothing and no one can sway you from who you truly are. This groundedness becomes a source of power and peace, helping you handle disrespect in a way that honors both yourself and your beliefs. Lesson 5, don't be afraid to speak up. When confronted with disrespect, it can be tempting to stay silent to avoid conflict. We might tell ourselves it's not worth it or fear that speaking up will escalate the situation. However, learning to speak up for yourself is essential, both for establishing boundaries and for reinforcing your self-worth. Speaking up doesn't mean confronting someone aggressively or putting them on the defensive. It's about communicating openly, calmly, and assertively to express how you feel and what you need. When done with clarity and respect, speaking up is one of the most powerful ways to show that you value yourself. The first step in speaking up is overcoming the internal barriers that hold us back. Many people are afraid of seeming rude, confrontational, or overly sensitive when they address disrespect. But remember, silence can often be misinterpreted as acceptance. When we allow disrespect to go unchecked, we might unintentionally send the message that we're okay with being treated poorly. Speaking up, on the other hand, sends a clear message that you respect yourself enough to stand up for your dignity. It shows others that you have boundaries and that those boundaries matter. When you do choose to speak up, approach it with intentionality and calmness. Preparation can help think through what you want to say and how you want to say it. You don't need to create a rehearsed speech, but it's helpful to have a sense of the words or phrases that feel right for you. For example, rather than accusing the other person with statements like "you always disrespect me," or "you never listen," use I statements that center your experience. Saying "I felt dismissed when you interrupted me earlier," or "I felt disrespected by your tone," allows you to express yourself without putting the other person on the defensive. Timing also matters. Choose a moment when emotions aren't running high, if possible. Speaking up right in the heat of the moment can make it difficult to stay calm, and the other person may be too reactive to truly listen. If you're able to find a more neutral time, you can present your feelings in a way that is both clear and constructive. You might say something like, "I'd like to talk about something that happened earlier," or "Could we discuss something that's been on my mind?" By framing it as a conversation rather than a confrontation, you make it easier for both of you to engage openly. When you speak up, aim to be both honest and kind. Speaking up doesn't mean belittling or shaming the other person. It's about communicating your boundaries and needs with respect. Remember that your goal is to be heard and understood, not necessarily to win an argument or prove a point. Approaching the conversation with respect often encourages the other person to respond similarly, fostering an environment where open communication becomes the norm. There's also an empowering aspect to speaking up that goes beyond the immediate situation. Each time you advocate for yourself, you strengthen your confidence and self-respect. You begin to see yourself as someone who deserves to be treated with respect and who isn't afraid to ask for it. This inner strength builds over time and can transform how you carry yourself, not just in moments of conflict, but in everyday interactions. You may find that the more you practice speaking up, the less you tolerate any form of disrespect, and the more naturally you assert yourself in a way that feels right for you. Sometimes speaking up might not change the other person's behavior or attitude, and that's okay. You can't control how others respond, but you can control how you choose to handle disrespect. Even if the other person isn't receptive or doesn't apologize, you've still honored yourself by standing up for what you deserve. You've shown yourself that you are worth protecting, that your feelings and boundaries are valid. This alone is a victory because it reinforces a positive cycle of self-respect. For many of us, speaking up in the face of disrespect is a skill that takes practice. Start with small steps if you're not used to asserting yourself. Begin by addressing minor issues with friends or family members, and as you grow more comfortable, you can address more challenging situations. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel, and the stronger your confidence will become. In the end, speaking up is about valuing yourself enough to advocate for your needs and boundaries. It's about finding your voice and using it in a way that aligns with your values and reinforces your self-lesson 6, choose to let go of resentment. Letting go of resentment can be one of the hardest yet most liberating things we can do for ourselves. Resentment is a feeling that often stems from being hurt or treated unfairly. When someone disrespects us or violates our boundaries, it can feel personal and, in many cases, even unforgivable. The anger and bitterness can linger, affecting not only our view of the person who hurt us, but also our own emotional well-being. Resentment can take root in our lives, creating a barrier between us and a sense of peace. But here's the truth: holding on to resentment ultimately hurts us far more than it hurts the other person. Choosing to let go of resentment is an act of self-care and self-liberation that allows us to move forward unburdened by the past. First, it's essential to understand what resentment does to us. When we harbor resentment, we're essentially keeping an emotional wound open. We replay the event or words in our minds, reinforcing the pain each time. It's like reliving the initial hurt over and over again, even long after the disrespectful incident has passed. The other person may have moved on, or they may not even be aware of the impact they had on us. But we're left carrying the weight of that anger, which can seep into other areas of our lives, affecting our mood, outlook, and even our physical health. Studies show that chronic anger and resentment are linked to stress-related conditions, including high blood pressure and heart issues. In many ways, resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person suffers. It damages us far more than anyone else. Letting go of resentment doesn't mean forgetting what happened or letting someone off the hook. It doesn't mean you're saying it's okay that they treated me that way. Instead, letting go of resentment is about reclaiming your emotional freedom. It's about choosing to prioritize your own peace over the need to hold on to the hurt. When you let go of resentment, you're allowing yourself to move forward rather than remaining stuck in a painful moment from the past. You're freeing up mental and emotional energy that can be put toward things that genuinely enrich your life. A powerful way to begin letting go of resentment is by practicing empathy. This doesn't mean excusing bad behavior, rather, it's about trying to understand what may have driven the other person's actions. And many times, disrespect or hurtful behavior is a reflection of the other person's own struggles, insecurities, or pain. They may have been acting out of anger, frustration, or fear. Trying to see things from their perspective, even if you don't agree with it, can sometimes soften the intensity of the resentment. It doesn't make what they did right, but it can help you release some of the anger by seeing their humanity. Forgiveness is another key aspect of letting go of resentment, but it's important to note that forgiveness is a personal journey, one that doesn't always involve the other person. Forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean reconciliation or allowing someone back into your life. It simply means that you're choosing to release the grip that their actions have on your heart. Forgiveness is about your freedom, not their absolution. By forgiving, you're making a conscious choice to prioritize your own healing. It's about saying, I won't let this hurt define my lesson 7, focus on building your self-worth. When dealing with disrespect, one of the most powerful actions you can take is to focus on building and reinforcing your self-worth. Self-worth is the foundation of how we see ourselves, what we believe we deserve, and how we allow others to treat us. When we have a strong sense of self-worth, we're less affected by the hurtful behavior or opinions of others because we understand our inherent value doesn't depend on anyone else's approval or validation. Building self-worth isn't just about feeling good about yourself, it's about cultivating an unshakable confidence that stands resilient even in the face of disrespect.
The journey to building self-worth begins with self-acceptance. This means acknowledging and embracing all parts of yourself's strengths, flaws, and everything in between.
Many of us are our own harshest critics, focusing on our perceived weaknesses or mistakes, and we might even allow the judgments of others to shape how we see ourselves. But self-worth isn't rooted in perfection, it's rooted in self-acceptance. Recognize that you are worthy of respect and kindness, even if you have areas for growth. Self-worth is about understanding that your value doesn't come from being flawless, but from being authentically you. To cultivate self-worth, it's important to practice positive self-talk. The way we speak to ourselves has a huge impact on how we feel about ourselves. Often, after a moment of disrespect, we might find ourselves internalizing the negativity or criticism, thinking maybe I deserve this, or maybe there's something wrong with me instead. Try to reframe these thoughts. Replace negative self-talk with affirmations that affirm your worth. Remind yourself that no one else's behavior defines you. You can say things like, I am worthy of respect, I deserve to be treated with kindness, and I am enough as I am. Repeating these affirmations helps to gradually build a more resilient self-image. Building self-worth also means setting boundaries and standing up for yourself. Boundaries are a reflection of self-respect. They show that you know what you deserve and won't settle for less. When you have strong self-worth, you recognize that it's okay to say no to situations or people that make you feel less than or disrespected. Establishing boundaries communicates to others that you value yourself and expect to be treated accordingly. Boundaries don't isolate you from others. Instead, they create a healthy framework for interactions that respect your sense of self. Another important aspect of building self-worth is nurturing your passions and interests. When you invest time and energy into activities that fulfill and inspire you, you're reinforcing your own value beyond external validation. Pursuing hobbies, learning new skills, or engaging in meaningful projects can create a sense of accomplishment and purpose that boosts your self-worth. It's about finding joy and purpose in who you are and what you love, independent of others' opinions. Each small achievement, each moment of joy in your interests strengthens your inner sense of worth. Surrounding yourself with supportive, positive people also has a powerful impact on your self-worth. Choose friends and loved ones who uplift you, who see your strengths, and who celebrate your successes. Positive relationships reinforce your sense of worth by creating an environment where you regain dealing with disrespect. One of the most powerful actions you can take is to focus on building and reinforcing your self-worth. Self-worth is the foundation of how we see ourselves, what we believe we deserve, and how we allow others to treat us. When we have a strong sense of self-worth, we're less affected by the hurtful behavior or opinions of others because we understand our inherent value doesn't depend on anyone else's approval or validation. Building self-worth isn't just about feeling good about yourself, it's about cultivating an unshakable confidence that stands resilient even in the face of disrespect. The journey to building self-worth begins with self-acceptance. This means acknowledging and embracing all parts of your self-strengths, flaws, and everything in between. Many of us are our own harshest critics, focusing on our perceived weaknesses or mistakes, and we might even allow the judgments of others to shape how we see ourselves. But self-worth isn't rooted in perfection, it's rooted in self-acceptance. Recognize that you are worthy of respect and kindness, even if you have areas for growth. Self-worth is about understanding that your value doesn't come from being flawless, but from being authentically you. To cultivate self-worth, it's important to practice positive self-talk. The way we speak to ourselves has a huge impact on how we feel about ourselves. Often, after a moment of disrespect, we might find ourselves internalizing the negativity or criticism, thinking, maybe I deserve this, or maybe there's something wrong with me instead. Try to reframe these thoughts. Replace negative self-talk with affirmations that affirm your worth. Remind yourself that no one else's behavior defines you. You can say things like, I am worthy of respect, I deserve to be treated with kindness, and I am enough as I am. Repeating these affirmations helps to gradually build a more resilient self-image. Building self-worth also means setting boundaries and standing up for yourself. Boundaries are a reflection of self-respect. They show that you know what you deserve and won't settle for less. When you have strong self-worth, you recognize that it's okay to say no to situations or people that make you feel less than or disrespected. Establishing boundaries communicates to others that you value yourself and expect to be treated accordingly. Boundaries don't isolate you from others. Instead, they create a healthy framework for interactions that respect your sense of self. Another important aspect of building self-worth is nurturing your passions and interests. When you invest time and energy into activities that fulfill and inspire you, you're reinforcing your own value beyond external validation. Pursuing hobbies, learning new skills, or engaging in meaningful projects can create a sense of accomplishment and purpose that boosts your self-worth. It's about finding joy and purpose in who you are and what you love, independent of others' opinions. Each small achievement, each moment of joy in your interests, strengthens your inner sense of worth. Surrounding yourself with supportive, positive people also has a powerful impact on your self-worth. Choose friends and loved ones who uplift you, who see your strengths, and who celebrate your successes. Positive relationships reinforce your sense of worth by creating an environment where your lesson 8 surround yourself with respectful people. One of the most empowering choices you can make for yourself is to surround yourself with people who respect you, value your presence, and support your growth. The people in your life play a significant role in shaping your self-esteem, self-worth, and even your worldview. When you're surrounded by respectful individuals, you're not only more likely to feel valued and appreciated, but you're also more likely to be your best, most authentic self. Building and maintaining relationships with respectful people is a powerful way to protect your mental and emotional well-being, especially when facing challenges with disrespect from others. Respectful people are those who value boundaries, communicate with honesty and kindness, and are considerate of your feelings. They don't needlessly criticize, belittle, or judge you. Instead, they offer constructive feedback, empathy, and encouragement. When you spend time with people who embody these qualities, you're reminded of the standard of behavior that you deserve in your relationships. You start to internalize the message that you are worthy of respect, care, and kindness. This becomes a foundation of self-worth that can help you handle disrespectful behavior from others more effectively because you're constantly affirmed by the positive people around you. Choosing respectful people as part of your inner circle isn't just about avoiding those who might hurt you. It's also about actively seeking out people who inspire and uplift you. These are friends, family members, colleagues, and mentors who see your potential, celebrate your successes, and support you during setbacks. They don't bring drama, manipulation, or competition into the relationship, but rather bring a sense of trust, respect, and positivity. Being surrounded by such people can significantly boost your confidence and your own ability to be respectful and kind, even in difficult situations. This kind of positive reinforcement is incredibly valuable in shaping a strong, resilient sense of self. It's also important to recognize that surrounding yourself with respectful people sometimes means letting go of those who consistently disrespect or diminish you. This can be a difficult decision, especially if the person in question has been in your life for a long time or holds a particular place of importance. However, if someone continually disrespects you, fails to honor your boundaries, or brings negativity into your life, you have the right to distance yourself. This doesn't necessarily mean cutting them off entirely, but it does mean choosing to limit your exposure to their behavior and influence. Remember, you're not obligated to keep anyone in your life who doesn't treat you with the respect and kindness you deserve. Creating a supportive environment is also about reciprocity, being a respectful person in return. Respect is a two-way street, and fostering relationships based on mutual respect means actively showing up as a respectful person yourself. When you model the behavior you lesson 9, find the lesson and grow from it. When we face disrespect, it's easy to become consumed by the hurt, frustration, or anger that the situation evokes. We may find ourselves ruminating over the incident, replaying it in our minds, or allowing it to overshadow our sense of well-being. But one of the most transformative practices we can adopt in such moments is to look for the lesson within the experience. Every encounter, no matter how painful, holds potential for growth if we choose to reflect on it with a mindset that seeks understanding rather than retribution. Finding the lesson doesn't mean excusing or minimizing the disrespectful behavior. It's about looking beyond the emotional turmoil and asking yourself, what can I learn from this disrespect? In all its forms can serve as an opportunity for self-reflection, personal growth, and resilience. By focusing on the lessons we can glean from challenging interactions, we empower ourselves to emerge stronger, wiser, and more equipped to handle future situations. One of the first lessons you might learn when facing disrespect is the importance of boundaries. Perhaps the incident revealed a need for clearer boundaries, or maybe it highlighted that you've allowed someone to overstep without addressing it. This is an opportunity to reinforce what you stand for and what you won't tolerate. When you recognize this lesson, you can use the experience to fortify your boundaries, ensuring that you communicate them clearly and assertively moving forward. The disrespect you experience can become the catalyst for your growth in this area, helping you become more skilled at protecting your emotional and mental space. Another lesson might center around self-awareness. Sometimes disrespect forces us to confront the ways in which we allow others to treat us. It might reveal areas where we've been too passive, too forgiving, or too accommodating out of a desire to avoid conflict or maintain harmony. In these moments, we're given a chance to reflect on our own role in relationships and how we might unintentionally enable disrespectful behavior. This realization can be an invitation to shift our approach, setting firmer boundaries, speaking up when something feels wrong, or seeking out relationships that align more closely with our values. The key here is not to blame ourselves for someone else's actions, but to look inward and identify how we can become more empowered in our interactions. Disrespect can also teach us important lessons about the limits of our control. We cannot control how others behave, but we can control how we respond. In moments of disrespect, we are given the opportunity to practice self-regulation, emotional intelligence, and perspective. For example, you might learn the lesson of staying calm in the face of provocation, or you might discover the value of letting go of the need to change someone else's behavior. By focusing on how you respond rather than reacting impulsively, you exercise control over your emotional landscape. This can be a powerful lesson in personal empowerment, reminding you that your peace doesn't have to be dependent on someone else's behavior. Moreover, every instance of disrespect can deepen your understanding of your own values. When we're disrespected, we often feel hurt, because our core values such as kindness, fairness, or integrity have been violated. The experience offers an opportunity to reaffirm those values and reflect on how they guide our decisions and actions. It's a moment to consider what matters most to you and how you want to show up in the world. Finding the lesson here involves acknowledging what you stand for and using the experience to align your actions with those beliefs, whether that means advocating for yourself or choosing to disengage from toxic relationships. Finally, disrespect can also present a lesson in empathy and understanding. While this may seem counterintuitive, learning to extend empathy even to those who have disrespected us can be a transformative experience. Often, people act out of their own pain, fear, or insecurities. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but understanding that their disrespect might stem from their own struggles can allow us to cultivate compassion, both for ourselves and for them. This lesson doesn't mean tolerating disrespect, but it can help us approach difficult situations with a mindset of curiosity rather than judgment. It also allows us to let go of anger more easily, reducing the emotional burden we carry. Finding the lesson in every instance of disrespect is not always easy, especially when emotions are raw. But by choosing to reflect and learn from each experience, you can turn painful situations into opportunities for growth. This process helps you develop resilience, wisdom, and self-awareness, all of which are essential in building a life where you can stand firm in your values, communicate your needs, and navigate challenging interactions with grace. By approaching disrespect with the mindset of growth, you make it an empowering moment, one that strengthens you and enhances your capacity for handling future challenges with confidence and integrity. This conclusion, as we move through life, we will inevitably encounter situations where we feel disrespected, but how we choose to navigate these moments will define our personal growth and well-being. Remember that no one can diminish your value unless you allow it. By setting healthy boundaries, speaking up for yourself, choosing to let go of resentment, and surrounding yourself with people who uplift you, you create an environment where your self-worth is reinforced, not challenged. Trust in your own worth. You are worthy of respect, of kindness, and of being treated with dignity. Trust that you have the inner strength to face challenges with grace, the wisdom to learn from difficult experiences, and the power to create the life and relationships that reflect your true value. The way you handle disrespect will shape not only how others treat you, but also how you treat yourself. Let your actions be a reflection of your self-respect, your integrity, and your unwavering belief in your own worth. So the next time you face disrespect, remember you have the choice to rise above it. You have the choice to respond with grace and strength. And above all, you have the power to trust in yourself, in your worth, and in the lessons you will learn along the way. Keep growing, keep evolving, and never let anyone, no matter who they are, define your value. Thank you.